chocolate and the popcorn that they had in the middle of the table, and Dad, of course, had a coffee. And we went across the street. I didn't know he was scared. I just knew we were going to see the snakes. I was excited. So we went in, and the gentleman, he introduced us, showed us around, and he pulled out a 4-foot boa constrictor. And of course, I was happy. And I put my arms out like this, and I didn't know that as he draped the snake on me, Dad was having a mini heart attack. And we loved it. We were so excited. Every single time we went to the Turtleback Zoo to take care of the snakes, we talked about how one day we really wanted a snake. And Dad, of course, was like, no. But he did buy us the aquariums and had a great plan. This man had worked this plan for years of these aquariums that he was going to build for these snakes. Little did we know he was terribly afraid. But Julian earned his merit badge. I found my love for snakes. Dad still had a fear of snakes. And that really does speak to the man, because he did. If we wanted to do something, he was going to figure it out and go through, and we were going to do it. I mean, he was even my brownie leader. And he had to explain to me, once again, I'm the X Factor, that brownies was not about eating brownies every time, because I had a fit. I was like, why do we keep doing this? And we never have brownies. He goes, you are the brownie. So, as a professional Boy Scout, as a dad, he just made sure that he was in tune with what we wanted, and even if it wasn't what he was used to, he got used to it and did it for us. So this is for you, Dad. So we are going to move on, and I'm going to have my big sister, Della, come up and do the prayer.
Let us pray. Our eternal Father, we thank you for this moment of celebration, of memories, of fond memories that you gave us. We ask, God, that you would continue to bless us as we continue to uphold the name, the legacy, and of course, God, the purpose. God, we thank you for this life that you've given us to have shared with us for 80 plus years. And God, we also say to you, thank you. Thank you for family. Thank you for friends. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our communities in ways that people will never know that he has contributed to. Father, I thank you for forgiveness. I thank you for love. I thank you for peace. And I thank you most of all for all of those that are here today to share, to uphold, and to hold us. God, we ask now that you would touch Terry in a very special way, that you would cover her from the top of her head to the soles of her feet. God, that you will allow her to remember and to love, and that love will continue in her heart. God, I thank you for my siblings. I thank you for each and every one of them. I thank you for Tori. I thank you for Adrian. I thank you for Emily. I thank you for Julie. And most of all, God, I thank you for my baby sister, Anita. God, that you would comfort us in this hour, in this moment, that you would continue to bind us, that we would be better together and stronger. Lord, I thank you for even the generations of our children that are here, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, and the great-great-grandchildren. We honor you today, God, for just being God. And God, we thank you in advance for all the blessings and all of the joy that will come out of today. In Christ's name we pray. Let all God's people say amen.
Amen. Now we'll have the scripture reading by Deshaun. Is it Mike?
There's Mike.
Okay.
and today's reading will be from Job 14. Man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not. And dost thou open thine eyes upon such a one, and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Seeing his days are determined, the number of the months is with thee, and thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Look away from him that he may rest, till he shall accomplish an hireling his day. For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch therefore will not cease. Through the root thereof waxeth old in earth, and the stock therefore die in the ground. Yet through the scent of water it will bud, and put forth boughs like a plant. But man dieth and is laid low. Ye may give it the ghost, and where is he? As the waters fell from the sea, and the rivers wasteth and dried up, so man lieth down and rise not. Till the heavens be no more, thou shalt not wake, nor be roused out of their sleep. O thou wildest hide me in soul, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my warfare would I wait, till my release should come. Thou wouldest call, and would answer thee. Thou wouldest have a desire to the work of thy hand. But know thou numberest my steps, dost thou not watch over my sin? My transgressions is sealed up in a bag, and thou hast fastened up my iniquity. But the mountain falleth coming to naught, and the rock is removed out of a place. The waters wear the stone, the overflowing thereof washes away the dust of the earth. So thou hast destroyed the hope of man. Thou prevailest of ever against him and passeth. Thou changest his countenance and sendest him away. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not. And though they are brought low, but he perceiveth it not of them. But his flesh upon him hath pain, and his soul within him mourneth. May we put a blessing to God's word. Amen.
And now we will have the Mason's resolution by Brother Kerry Brown.
Good morning, everyone. John 3:35 to 36. The Father loves the Son and has given all things into his hand. He who put his trust in the Son has life that lasts forever. He who does not put his trust in the Son will not have life, but the anger of God is on him. To Terry Gandy Hall, the wife of worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr., to his children, Della McCall, Adrian Hall, Toriano Grandi, Emily Hall, Emory Hall III, Anita Hall, and all other family, friends, and acquaintances here assembled. At a lodge of sorrow held on December 5th, 2025, the following resolution was read.
and will be spread upon the archives of Golden Rule Lodge number 24, Free and Accepted Masons, Prince Hall affiliated, Vauxhall, New Jersey, and an original given to the family. Whereas, worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr., having professed his faith in Almighty God, and upon that profession of faith was initiated into the ancient and honorable fraternity of Free and Accepted Masons on March 25th, 1991, and raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason on June 22nd, 1991. And whereas worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr. repeatedly proved himself to be a faithful brother among us, not just by words, but through his acts, exemplified over his 34 years of service and adherence to the principles and tenets of our ancient and honorable fraternity, which are brotherly love, relief, and truth. And whereas worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr., in consequence of his conformity to the ancient charges and regulations of the fraternity, and after serving in several places and stations of the lodge, was elected and installed Worshipful Master of Golden Rule Lodge number 24 during the Masonic year of 1995 to 1996. The office of Worshipful Master is the highest office of authority in a lodge, and he served his lodge admirably and with honor. And whereas worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr. had a thirst to learn and improve himself in Masonry by becoming a member of the following constituent and concordant bodies of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, State of New Jersey, he became a companion of Rising Sun Chapter number 7, Holy Royal Ark Masons. He became an illustrious companion of Joppa Council number 4, Royal and Select Masters, and he became a Sir Knight of St. Paul Commandery number 7. Worthy brother Emory J. Hall was also a member of Golden Rule Chapter number 50, Order of the Eastern Star, Prince Hall affiliate, an adoptive body of the Grand Lodge. Worthy brother Emory J. Hall Jr. was a man of many talents and would lend those talents to his lodge when needed. He lived 2 Corinthians 9:7, where we find these words: each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Be it resolved that the officers and members of Golden Rule Lodge number 24, Free and Accepted Masons, Prince Hall affiliated, Vauxhall, New Jersey, bow in humble submission to the will of God, who in his infinite wisdom on November 28, 2025, called our dear brother Emory J. Hall Jr. from labor to eternal rest. It is our prayer that those who loved him most find solace in that he lived. Respectfully submitted, Worshipful Brother Kerry H. Brown, Worshipful Master, Golden Rule Lodge number 24, Free and Accepted Masons, Prince Hall affiliate. Attest, Most Worshipful Ricardo McNeil, past Grand Master, Secretary of Golden Rule Lodge number 24, Free and Accepted Mason. On behalf of a grateful lodge, to the service that was dedicated by our past master, Emory Hall Jr., we are so sorry for your loss, and we are forever going to have a missing link in our chain. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for honoring our dad. And now we'll have the People's Organization for Progress, Ingrid Hill, Vice Chair of Internal Affairs.
First and foremost, we would like to extend our condolences to the family. Emory, when we celebrate life, we have to celebrate what people have done with their life, in addition to family and other things. He was a freedom fighter with his wife Terry, because where you saw one, you saw the other. We were in the streets. We would fight for social justice because we represent social justice. For freedom. We were fighting for all kinds of events and situations because we as an organization feel that our responsibility is to uplift. Emory and Terry were always there. They marched, they protested, which says something about people, because a lot of us just live our daily life and we go about our own business and we don't do anything else for the goodness of other people. But Emory wasn't that kind of a person. Because of that, we want to salute you. He will be missed, and hopefully he'll be looking out for us on the other side, because given what we're up against, we will need every possible force. So in the spirit of Emory, long live the spirit of Emory. Of Emory. Can we repeat that?
Long live the fighting spirit of Emory Hall.
Thank you.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
And reparations now.
I believe your organization is marching today in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
And they said they're marching.
Right, 103 miles of march for Mumia Abu-Jamal, a political prisoner. Not only for him, but for all our
All of
political
them.
prisoners that have given up their lives so that we could be where we are today.
Okay, now we're going to have reflections. First, we're going to have Tajuddin Tobin. Taj. I call him Taj.
My Aunt Terry told me to be prepared for something like this. So I just want to tell a story about how Uncle Emory used to come for me whenever I needed him. When I had my daughters, he was there to pick us up from the hospital when we had no way to get home. He was very reliable person. He used to always tell me, how to make sure I aim for like the highest that I can do. He took me out to New York. He used to sit and talk to me and tell me amazing stories of the kind of person he was. And he was a very gracious person. I wish I had more time with him to talk to him about the things that we had, about this experiences that I had with him. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to share a story. So, my Aunt Betty, I'm going to share a story. What? If we can't, Dad's memory, Dad liked the story. But my Aunt Betty and her 4 kids at the time, came to live with us. There's Taj, Sydney, Aaliyah, and Jabril. And they were young. They were 9, 5, 4 and 2, I believe. I might be wrong with the ages. Forgive me. I'm middle-aged now. And their school schedules were all over the place. Sydney got out of school at the same time we got out of school. Aaliyah got out of school half day because she was in kindergarten. And then Taj and Jabril went to daycare. So, daycare hours, that's great. But my dad's afternoons were going on adventures with Aaliyah because one thing my dad loved was to go on adventures, especially in Newark and around our town of South Orange. And it didn't matter what Aaliyah wanted to do. It was just, Aaliyah, what you want to do today? Oh, we going to Sonny's Bagels? Okay. Oh, you just want ice cream and to watch Lion King? Then that's what we're going to do. We got time. Nobody else needs to know, because he was good for giving you cake, ice cream, and everything else, but that was just your secret. So with that, watching my dad be a great uncle was a pleasure. And having that time with our little cousins, they more became like our little siblings and his little children as well. So, and I know he loved you all so much. He loves your children so much. And you guys made a great impact on his life as well. And with that, we're going to have Cousin John come up and share his reflections.
Good morning. As she said, my name is John Crooms. Junior, as we called him. I really didn't realize his name was Emory until, I don't know. His father was the Emory that we knew in our family. But anyway, Emory was 1 year older than me. We grew up in Newark. As kids, they lived on Prince Street, and we lived on Quitman Street. Junior was at my house probably more than he was at his house, only because he had one sister, and I had 3 sisters and 10 brothers. Yeah, I said 10. So he was the 14th kid in our family. He was always, as a lot of people have already said, caring, outstanding guy. We look forward to him, excuse me, coming around every day, really every weekend. Our grandmother lived on, I don't know if any of you guys from Old Newark, on Lewis Street before they built the projects there. And we used to fight, argue about whose grandkid was the better, him or us. But anyway, the whole family was always proud of him. He was played baseball for the Little League. Then when he became a member of the Drum and Bugle Corps, that was, the greatest thing could happen. We all, excuse me, was so eager to tell everyone, that's my cousin. He's a member of the Drum and Bugle Corps. After that, he went to high school. He went to Central, and I went to Southside. After high school, he went to college. He moved to Boston, Massachusetts. And we were out of touch for a while. He would come around on the holidays and stuff. But other than that, we were out of touch. And as we both became adults, we contacted each other many times, and later on, up until, I guess, the last, where'd she go? Anita and my daughter were in school together. And then we became much more affiliated with one another. Up until, I don't know. He became a Mason, I think it was 1991. And he was always around. He was always a good guy. When he showed up, it was fun. I'm just go too much. Anyway, in the last 5 years, he became ill. You know, he had issues with his heart and stuff. But he still stayed in touch. Matter of fact, we lived in the same area. He was in South Orange, I was in East Orange. And when Anita grew up, and my daughter were the same age, you know, we got together more and more and more. And up until recently, when he became ill, you know, we talked a lot on the phone, but we didn't physically reach out to each other. And the last conversation I had with him, what was it, August? My birthday was August 31st. And he was telling me, yeah, well, he's 80 going on 81, and I'm turning on 80, August 31st. He said he was going to try to be there, and I know he would have if he could have. But anyway, he didn't make the party, but his daughter represented the family. So, and I have nothing but great memories about him and his sister, Beverly. So, I'm representing the last of the Crooms family. I've got 2 brothers left. There's only 3 of us out of 13. Well, 14. Emory was the number 14 kid. And we all look, well, he was missed by our family, the 3 of us that are left, and we'll continue, you know, to have fond memories of him. And I'm sure Anita will make sure we do. And that's it for now. All right.
Is it good? Okay. And now we're going to have a reflection by our Mason.
I'm Brother Arnold Williams, past master of Golden Rule Lodge number 24, as you've heard, and this is my one of my younger counterparts, Robert T. White. Those that wait on the Lord shall renew their faith. They shall mount up on wings as eagles and run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I met Emory in about 1990, and he came into our lodge with a lot of ideas and everything, and it was very good. But at that time, we were in the process of getting our new building, so we didn't kind of take his ideas right away. But he was very persistent. So over the years, over those next years, we got a lot of those things in. He was a very good brother, and we loved him and everything. And I used to always tease him. He's 81 and I'm 79, and I always said, who looks the youngest, you know, and things like that. But he was a nice guy. And Cherry and her daughter, who were members of the of Golden Rule Chapter number 50, Order of the Eastern Stars, where I'm also past Grand Worthy Patron of Ozeel Grand Chapter, Order of the Eastern Star, Prince Hall affiliation for the jurisdiction of New Jersey. And also his son was a master counselor for the state of New Jersey, our youth organization, the Pythagoreans. And but when I saw him last time, he was about this big. Now he's this big. Him and my son. And now I shall turn it over to Brother Robert T. White, who will, and his nickname, by the way, is Shenanigans. So we don't know what he's going to say.
Good evening, everyone. Like Arnold said, like I somehow, when I joined Golden Rule Lodge, I later on in the years became like the building manager of Golden Rule Lodge. And Emory, like his daughter said, when he put his mind to something, he wanted to build something. He came to me one day, he said, Brother White, I want to build some new podium for the chapter. And I said, sure, Emory, do whatever you need to do. So one morning I would get up early in the morning. I had to go take the garbage out, 6 a.m. And I go into the lodge and I hear a saw. Right? I said, who's in the lodge at 6 a.m.? Emory was down in the lodge, sawing, making podiums for the chapter. He made these podiums. He painted the rug. To this day, we still use those podiums. And, you know, there was a microwave in the lodge. There was a refrigerator. He would have his TV dinners, but he would be at that lodge from sun up to sundown. And when he put his mind, like his daughter said, when he put his mind to something, he completed what he did. And I just want to thank his daughter, and especially his lovely wife, loaning Emory to us at that time to do whatever he put his mind to. And we still use those podiums, and we're forever grateful to him and his family. So God bless you and your family. Thank you so much.
God bless everyone. Thank you.
I'm gonna open up if does anyone else want to share any stories or memories? Going once, going twice. Great. Moving along. Oh, yes? Come on. You know he loved his cookie. Come on now. This is his niece. Sorry, I'm going to use your real name. It's Sydney. All right. Hey, y'all. I'm Sydney. So I'm going to try to get through this. I've been through a lot, so I'm going to try to get through this because my Uncle Emory, he meant a lot to my family. Like when we moved to New Jersey, like Anita said, we lived there. You know what I mean? He was there. He was active. He was like more than an uncle. He was like a father. You know what I mean? Picking us up, doing whatever. I knew I could always call on him, but the way he raised me, I always made sure I didn't have to call on him. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't try to call him for everything because I remember what he told me, the things he instilled in me, how to move about. And so I just used those to move through. You know, the one thing I will say in the last couple years, he never forget about me. Everything that I got going on, I will open up my phone. It's something from Facebook. Hey, Sydney, love you. Just thinking about you. He told me happy birthday like 2 weeks early. Like my mother had to jump in there like, yeah, Emory, it's next week. I'm like, it don't even matter because he remembered, you know what I mean? Even through everything that he was going through, he remembered me, you know, and I appreciate that. I appreciate him, everybody, you know. I don't know, he was that man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I really loved y'all dad. Like, I really loved him. It was always a pleasure. I never felt any, like, nothing. You know, some people you get in an argument where you be like, I'm not gonna talk to them no more. Like, I've never had that with him. I've never felt anything negative from him. I've always felt love. And I always appreciate that. You know what I mean? So I just had to say something. I can't say much, but I do know that Aaliyah used to hang out at the lodge with Uncle Emory because that's how much he lived in the lodge. I definitely remember that, right? And he was always fixing the lodge because there was always something to fix. But Aaliyah, she was at the lodge with Uncle Emory when she was getting picked up. I do know that much. But I just had to say something, you know what I mean, to not say nothing. But I love you, Uncle Emory. I just need to say that.
Amen.
Did we have any other memories that wanted to be shared? Yes, please come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nicole Hicks. And okay. And Emory's mother, Virginia, and my grandmother, Etta, were sisters. So when someone said Lewis Street, my dad, who's 88, he's sitting on the corner right there. He wouldn't have missed this for the world. Emory was his little cousin. Okay, so all I got to hear was stories about Emory Hall. I'm like, who is this Emory Hall? I grew up in Plainfield. So my father was living with their grandmother on Lewis Street, I believe, for a little bit, and then he moved on to his father's side after his mother Etta had died. So I never knew my Crooms family, but my father always mentioned Emory. And a funny story was, I think John had a cookout a couple years ago, and Emory was on the phone with my dad. He said, "Oh, just go to John's house." I think we caught John by surprise because he wasn't ready yet. We got there like super early. I don't know if John remembers that, but it's just a beautiful thing meeting my Crooms family and hearing so many great things about a great person who I never met. So imagine sitting in my shoes and all you hear is good thing, one after the other, and how he touched people. And I feel blessed and honored to say that I'm a part of his family. So to his immediate family, I love you guys. I can't wait to hear more about your dad. But my dad loved your dad 100%. So his passing hurt us a lot. So I just extend my condolences.
We're gonna have Terry Cruz.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Daria Crooms. My dad was right. It's John Crooms. It's number 10 of 13 of that Crooms clan. Really quickly, also really somber time that we're here. I'm really grateful to see all these amazing people and pouring into the family. I just wanted to share a really quick story about how the two of us met in school, and we didn't know we were cousins. And that was the I guess John and Emory reuniting as cousins with another set of kids, because Anita and I kind of share the same life in the sense that we have older brothers that are like 10 and 13 years older than us, and then here we are like the babies of the family. You know, save the best for last for the girls. Our parents, our family definitely is full of pride and always instilled in us understanding Black excellence, and it started at a very young age. Anita and I actually attended this school called Chad School. I'm sure, and Julian, right, facts. This was a private school in Newark, New Jersey, and the greatest of minds, I say to this day, have come out of this school. I remember being in first grade and running into this big brown-eyed girl with all this hair, and we were the best of friends. And I kept running home and telling my dad about my friend in school. And so one day he came to pick me up. And I'm like, "Dad, that's my friend." He's like, "That's your cousin." So he's looking, he sees Emory. He's like, "Emory, John, like, what?" And so it was ironic that this woman, this young lady that I just organically just attached and attracted myself to, who knew we were blood relatives, and from that day on, like, you couldn't tell us anything, okay? That's my kind, like, it didn't matter. It did not matter. And what I loved was that it was a really great time to see us as kids look at our parents kind of still having their childlike wonder in their eyes, in a sense, because you saw these two grown men really just pouring into each other in this excitement, almost like two giddy kids. And for us, we cultivated a relationship, start like from there on, like we're literally, this isn't my cousin, this is my sister. Just like Emory was not my dad's cousin, that was his brother. You really couldn't tell us that. You couldn't tell us anything. Anybody knows the Crooms family, they deep. They real deep. So, but I was grateful for that moment. And that moment led to so many other great moments in my life. And it led to an amazing relationship with an incredible woman who comes from an incredible family, who has an amazing, incredible dad. And when I think of my cousin Emory, I think of my father, and I see the strength that he has. And even in this room, the love that is here, we know that we're going to continue to do his work, because even to the very end, like, yes, cousin Emory was on Facebook. Like, I knew about everything going on. If I was not up on anything social injustice-wide, whether it was local or national, I'd be in California, and he would keep me up to date on what was going on in Essex County, marches and everything. And I was always so proud to see my family doing the work. So here's to doing the work, and here's to continue doing the work. Thank you, cousin. We got it from here. We love you and we miss you. So that was all.
Well, that was gorgeous. Did we have any other reflections? Deshawn McCall, my dad's first grandchild. And even though I'm younger, still your aunt. No.
him older. Me and Julian, we made sure we had that in place. So there's many moments in time that I can reflect back on my grandfather, but there was a time when me and my mom, we moved back to Newark. So in the process, my mom was still working in Paterson at the time. So many of those times, a part of his schedule, he would pick me up, stick me ice cream as well. I was at an interesting school at the time. Some of their prayer practices were a little unique, but education-wise, they were strong. So one day my grandfather showed up. He said, oh, you're not going back here. He said, no. I said, I told you they were crazy, Grandpa. He said, yes, they was. They were crazy. But the excellence that he strived in education was something that was instilled into me at a young age, and between him, my mom, and it allowed me to continue to focus athletically and academically. And then when I had the opportunity, when a bunch of different prep schools came looking at me, we had to kind of sit down and decide, where I was going to go. So it was as far as it was Hotchkiss, Kent. That was the first ones out in Connecticut. Then we started getting the Jersey schools. Hawaii was one school. My mama said no to that. But then when we settled down to Petty and we looked at the background, and then you had John B. Petty from Newark and stuff, he helped me to kind of get that structure in, and allowed me to, our side talks and having that conversation, me kind of going off by myself, but knowing that I always had that support there. And just understanding to be a man or becoming a man in those spaces and staying true to yourself and his fights for different social injustice. So those were key. So I look back at those memories and I think back, and then him and my wife became Facebook friends, and they were always in communication and we were staying up to date with what was going on. But he just had a love and passion, for, excellence and pride. So I would take those in my memories and my heart and hope to instill those things down to those other generations, as I got the call and we were going over the names and realizing, it's grand, great-grand, great-great-grand. And knowing those generations were alive while he was here and that they will continue on, I'm forever grateful for. And to our family, I love you guys, and we will stay strong together through this process. Thank you.
Amen.
I will ask one more time. Would anyone else like to share a memory? If not, we're going to move along.
Wait, can I share a memory?
Yes, of course. No, you can't share a memory. You're like, come on.
I'm the wild one in my family, So, one of my memories of Emory is when I first met him. And it was very funny, but that's when I knew me and my Aunt Anita were the same person. And he knew it too. So it was at my niece's birthday party, and I walk up to him and I'm like, oh my gosh, you look just like us. Are you related to us? And he was like, oh, you are definitely related to Anita. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then from then on, we've always had this thing where he knew I would always say what was on my mind, So, and he did too. So, okay, I'm gonna sing now. Okay.
So we're going to have Charity McCall sing As by Stevie Wonder. And acapella.
As around the sun the earth knows she's revolving, and the rose was know to bloom in early May. Just as hate knows love's the cure, you can rest your mind assured that I'll be loving you always. As now can reveal the mysteries of tomorrow, but in passing we grow older every day. Just as all that's born is new, you know what I say is true. that I'll be loving you always.
Now we're gonna have the eulogy by Tori Gandy. Toriano Gandy.
Good morning. Everyone here knows me as Tori. No one calls me Toriano. Not even my mother, not even Emory. It's really touching to see a lot of familiar faces, some unfamiliar, but, and you know, privately, when we were doing the obituary, you know, I am Emory's stepson, and my siblings were like, we shouldn't have that on there. And I didn't have a problem with it because even though, like, I buried Dumar, whose name is on my birth certificate, Emory raised me. And he made me the man I am today. And through my life with Emory Hall, which, as my sister would always say, it's always an adventure, I spent a lot of time in gatherings like this because my dad loved the funeral. He really loved, like, he would really, like, work a funeral like a sales, like he was selling something, and he had nothing to sell other than a bunch of greetings and blessings. And when I was young, I also learned that he wanted a funeral home. And my mom wanted the funeral home with him, and I did not want the funeral home. Anita wanted the funeral home, and I think Julian was with it. And but like Emory loved the funeral, and he loved meeting anyone. And this whole week I've been thinking about what I'm gonna say up here and what the hell is an obituary and how do you sum up somebody's life in such a short period of time. And I can say a couple of things. That one, I'm happy that he had a very strong and long life. I hope I can at least make it to 81. And he led a happy life and he spread a lot of joy. And it sounds very cliche, but my father was a people person. And he was also not just a father figure, but like a survival figure for like a black man in America. Like, I think a lot of young people now wouldn't understand what I'm talking about if you grew up like in the late 70s and the 80s. And he was always politically active and always had an opinion, and he always shared it with me. And the one thing I will always say about, I'll say, our father is that he always spoke to us like we were adults. And he was always a straight shooter, and anyone that knows me knows I'm also a straight shooter. And as I was thinking this week of what I'm gonna say about Emory Hall Jr., and you learn that like he had such a huge direct impact on my life, on my siblings' lives, on my mother's life, on my cousins' lives, on his neighbors' lives. And as a young man, I've always had a good life, thanks to my parents, who I love dearly. And as you heard from everyone else, he always had something good to say. He was always positive in terms of having a conversation with you. He didn't hold back, though, if he had to say something. And he was into going wherever. And he was not afraid. He was not nervous about being in new spaces or being around new people. He introduced me to New York. And of the siblings, I think I'm one of the few that are old enough to remember Aunt Beverly and what that whole situation was. Aunt Beverly was special. And as a kid growing up with him, the one thing, well, I think you guys already learned from everyone else, is that he's going to take you somewhere. And I've been to so many bars and taverns and lodges, and from the age of like 8 to like, I was probably like 15, and it was never like, you know, sit him down and he goes to this thing. It's like, I walk in with him in any bar in Newark, and it's like, oh, look, it's Junior. It's Emory Hall, because his father was a very, very known and respected man in our city of Newark. And every time you come in, anywhere he went, there was always someone who knew him. Any place we went, there's always seemed to be someone who knew him. And knowing how his life, he had an incredible life. He had 2 parents that, despite the times, had their own firsts. His mom was the first black woman to work in a retail store on Springfield Avenue in Newark before the riots. His father was the first black man to have a tavern, and I think some of you guys know, and we all the kids know, the rumors that our grandfather was affiliated with some people.
Amen. He knew some people that knew some people that
And
knew some people.
They all gone now. We don't have to say allegedly anymore. Okay.
And my grandfather, even though I met him when he was in the last couple years of his life, he was a formidable man, a well-respected man who could handle himself. And when I first met Emory, I didn't know that he was also a man who could handle himself, from Newark, from Prince Street, who was proud of where he was from. And I'm gonna try to keep this clean, Mom, but he didn't take any shit from anybody. And I wasn't that little, but as an 8-year-old kid coming from Massachusetts and moving to Newark, because like I said, he was impactful on people's lives. And so like he really changed mine, because I was living a different life in Springfield and Amherst. And when my mother met him and we came to New Jersey, which I didn't even know what the hell New Jersey meant, what it meant, that Newark even existed. And we moved to Fabian Place. And it's been history since then. I claim Newark as my hometown, where I grew up, just like him. And I've always been proud of that. My friends, and some who are here, which I'm happy to see, a lot of my friends knew my father, because if you came to the house, especially when we were in South Orange, if he was in the house and you came in the house, you're gonna have to have a conversation with him. If you came into any of the houses he was in the house, you're gonna have a conversation with him. Or if he was in the car or whatever, you were gonna talk to Emory Hall about something. And, you know, he was just that dude. He was educated. I think he was my original code switcher. Coming from Prince Street in Newark is not a middle class upbringing, but he carried himself like he drove a Bentley. And in the 80s, when I wanted fat laces in my sneakers, Emory wanted to dress me like it was 1940, and I was about to be a jazz musician or whatever, because he loved jazz. And he's the one that made sure I understood that buy good quality shoes to always look good. Always look good. And I think, because my mom used to always wonder when I became of age and made my own money and started buying my own stuff, she was like, how we never had nothing, but you always walk around here and buy stuff like you got everything. And where'd you get that taste from? And at the time, I didn't know. It's like, right, I throw on what I like. I like polo, I like whatever. But it's from Emory. Because also, other than my sister, who would take my clothes when I wasn't home, Emory would always put on my jackets. Sometimes he'd show up and pick me up from work after doing a double shift or wherever, or drive me in the old station wagon when I was doing a party. And this guy have on like my brand new $200 Nautica jacket. So I guess he was getting me back when I was young and I was taking stuff out of their closet. you always want to make your parents proud. And in our house, I think we did a good job, and I think my other siblings did a good job, but I think everyone knows that he already had a destination picked out for you. I was supposed to be like some whiz on Wall Street. Nita was supposed to be a lawyer. Julian's supposed to be an engineer. I'm pretty sure for Sid, Daria, and Jabril and Taj, everyone, all the cousins, he was like, he probably talked to him, was like, you know, you should go get yourself a Fulbright scholarship, and you should go get an Oxford scholarship. You know, you can get anything. You're black, it doesn't matter. You're smart. Like, when I went to Morehouse, I know that made him proud. And in fact, I think he was going more than I was going. He definitely made me go to like 3 events before I even stepped foot on the campus. And he was proud of that, and I didn't understand at the time. And when I came back, and I was kind of, you know, we didn't have the money to stay, he wanted me to go to Princeton. And I'm like, if y'all can't afford to send me to Morehouse, how y'all gonna send me to Princeton? But he believed that I was a very bright young man and smart. I think he had a little bit too much confidence because I wasn't as smart as he thought I was. But I thought at the time I was just as smart as he was, and he was a bright man. To have done the things that he has done, to live where he has lived, to have the life that he has had, from Chicago to D.C., to the little town Amherst in UMass, and you know, life is a lot about coming full circle. And I remember some of my earliest memories of Emory is like, yes, unfortunately being at his father's funeral, and then at his sister's funeral, and then at his mother's funeral, all within like a 2 to 3 year period, and watch him handle that. And couldn't imagine. And he kept, you know, he pushed on. And Rosalind and Tony, when they passed, and like John said, like he's the last of that generation. And so my dad wanted everyone to be educated. He believed education was the key. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He didn't expect you to be afraid of anybody. This is gonna sound weird. He was not a humble man. That man would tell you everything that he did with glee. And he would tell me, and him would have a conversation. He would tell me how you can control a room without controlling a room, which he did everywhere we went. When I was a Boy Scout, he was just assistant scoutmaster, but everyone thought he was the scoutmaster. And next thing you know, he was working for the Boy Scouts, and everyone thought he was the head of the Boy Scouts. Currently, within the last couple of years, you know, I work at a college, and there's been a couple times when him and my mom would stop by. And they're in the lobby of my building, and they've talked to every faculty member. They've talked to students that I didn't even know who the hell they were, because Emory will sit and talk with you. And I got a lot of that from him. You know, like, he was a social butterfly. I followed in his footsteps. He's not a man you want to argue with. You ain't gonna win, ever. He's very stubborn. He's very quick-witted, but he was also very compassionate and loving. And, you know, I've always tell people when I meet him that I'm proud to be like, I'm an asshole. Like, I get that from Emory Hall, because he'll tell you that too. And he was whip smart. And, you know, the stories he's told us over the years have been just incredible. For a young kid from Newark with his drum and bugle corps, going on to get his master's, even when he dabbled as a musician, when he used to play trumpet, even though that was, as a kid, I really didn't like that in the house, but, and even when, there's just so many times. And actually, you know, like I couldn't write anything because like every time I thought about it, it was just taking me down memory lane. But there were a lot of good points I wanted to make about my father that, you know, I never thought I'd be up here for him like this. You don't think about it, even when he was sick. And we had our differences, but you know, he made me strong. So like, iron sharpens iron, and so like, I don't have any regrets in my life. I don't have any beefs with my father now that he's gone, period. I appreciate him being in my life, and I appreciate my siblings. And that he loved my mother. And that he had all our back. And, right, there's no punks in the Hall family. Or the Gandy family, or the Crooms for that sake. We're strong and we're resilient. And so I used to think the proudest moment he had of me was when I got to Morehouse, because I know how he liked to brag. And Emory Dawson with his pompous ass. That was his boy, the two Emorys. And I think that our Emory was really, really proud that I was representing him. But there have been other moments I thought he was going to be proud, and I didn't get the reaction I wanted. Because everyone knows he's a big, big, big jazz fan, and because of him, like, he has very much touched my life in terms of music. And I remember in 2010, and I had the opportunity to work with a gentleman who was doing the music for Jazz at Lincoln Center, doing the mixing for Jazz at Lincoln Center for all their recordings. And this guy was weird, and his wife used to call me in the middle of the week, talk about, Jeff needs you to come up here. And Jeff lived in Harlem on 116th Street. And one night she's like, Jeff needs you to come up here. He needs help. And it's like 10 o'clock at night on like literally a Wednesday. And I jumped in my car, went to the Paterson, jumped on the train, went all the way up to Harlem, 116th Street, for this man to go send me to Starbucks and get a coffee. But before I got the coffee, the reason he sent me to the coffee is that Wynton Marsalis was on his way over to his house to do overdubs. So when I went to Starbucks, the first thing I did was I called my dad. Because I was like, he wanted me to work for like Lehman Brothers or something like that, and to be an analyst or whatever, to do something in finance, which I have no interest in, even though that was my very first major, banking and finance. I was like, yo, Pop. He's like, what's going on? I was like, I am about to mic up Wynton Marsalis. He's like, yeah? I was like, yeah. He's like, cool. I was like, okay. And I remember for about a year or two, I held that moment. I was pissed. Because, you know, even though I'm a grown man, around your parents, you still feel like a kid, and I wanted that moment, right? When the project came out, I remember I came to my pops and I was like, yo, well, it didn't even come out. I handed him the project. And for me, where I got my validation from him is when I would come to visit and he would be listening. And that's all that really mattered. But I know for a fact, when we were trying to put this together in this crazy time, that he would be proud, no matter what I said, that I could do this, because since I was a kid, just like him, I had good public speaking skills. I wasn't afraid to talk in public. And that he needs to be sent off properly, because he was a good man that made mistakes like we all do, that learned from his mistakes. He had different phases in his life, He had the phase in his life when he was running through Newark and doing what he's doing in Chicago and this, and that. He had his phase when he was in grad school. And then, you know, in the last 20 years, probably been the most calmest time of his life. But as you heard, like, this man loves him a fraternity, man. The Elks, the Masons, the Alphas, the Boy Scouts. And he always stayed busy and even marching, him and my mom, which actually kind of made me feel a certain kind of way being I was younger than them. And I'm like, what y'all doing? It's like, we marching. We working the polls. But to wrap it up, I just want to say that I really do thank everyone that's here, family, friends. If I don't know you, if I do know you, if Emory was actually here, if he didn't know you, he would know you by the end of it. And that's really, I think, the takeaway of all this is that, you know, we're all going to go at some point. It's all on how you live while you're here. And Emory lived a full life of 81 years, and he has a great group of kids. And Della, Adrian, Emily, myself, Anita, the other Emory, and the grandkids, the great-grandkids, and the cousins, and the great-great-grandkids, and everyone that's passed, his siblings, Marcel, I'm sure that has good company. And I want him to know that we love him. I love him. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. I don't even know if I did the damn eulogy, but I love him.
I have one last thing to share. We couldn't do this without you, Mom, his lovely bride, even when he said it in love and in sarcasm. Yes. But the one thing we all knew was how your love story began. And I made jokes about it, but it is a beautiful story. My mom was a student at UMass, and my dad was a TA at UMass. And if there's a couple people in this room that understand the public transportation system of that area at the time, so she wasn't getting to and from classes unless she hitchhiked.
We did that a lot.
And
Hitchhiking was a
who
thing.
spotted lovely Terry and said, oh, I'm going to pick her up. That's my future wife right there. And they met. The first time, no, he said you turned him down. He said, oh, no. And then you said yes. And he said he had to take his moment and ask you on a date. And on your first date, you guys went to a state park. And he was simple. He went to the deli, got you a few slices of meat and some bread, and you guys had sandwiches. And the rest is history. I'm an immaculate conception. I always say that. But 42 years of marriage, 2 of us plus bonus children. You did it. You're his lovely bride. So with that, I'm going to close out this service, and we'll continue with the repast at my sister's house. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for sharing memories. Thank you for helping us honor our father.
Just one thing.
Go ahead.
So I'm the oldest and the shortest. Everybody's taller than me. But I would be remiss if I did not say thank you to this museum for opening up their doors and allowing us to come and see Black excellence. I invite you to come back at another time in the memory of my dad to visit this beautiful museum where this is one of 2 still standing Negro League baseball fields that still exist out of all that did. I also want to say thank you to the city of Paterson, to the police department, fire department, DPW, all who played a part in making sure today was a success. But I would be remiss if I did not thank my staff my co-workers in the struggle. It's funny how life will have a full circle. I learned so much today about my dad that I didn't know. But I also realized that I'm a carbon copy because
You know everybody.
I know everybody. And I just want to say a couple of thank yous to the people who uplift me, who hold me up in the struggle. Estina, Beverly, Kathy, Terry, and if I forget your name, I'm not, take it from the heart. Miss Pat, Miss Deborah, Mary Palmer. I have to say this because this is what it's all about. It's about coming together. And I love you, Terry. You know that. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And I just want all of you to know that we thank you. But why did we come here? About 3 years ago, this all got refurbished and redeveloped. And I called, I don't know how me and my dad got on the phone this day, but I was like, I can't talk long. I'm at Hinchliffe Stadium. Oh my God, Whoopi Goldberg just walked through the door. I gotta call you back. And he said, wait a minute, don't hang up, don't hang up. You where? And I said, Hinchliffe Stadium. He said, I used to march on the field with the drum and bugle corps at Hinchliffe Stadium in Paterson, New Jersey. So that is why we're here today, because that field has the history of my father. And I just want to say to everybody, thank you, and please come back, because Brick City is my heart, but Paterson is my love. So come back and visit Paterson. I love you all. God bless you. You too, Miss May. You know I love you. You know I love you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute, guys. And I want to thank the person who drove me around all week and made sure I didn't crash and tell nobody off. Victoria Aquinda.
Oh, he's over here. Naked.
I'm running the obituary. Huh? I'm running the obituary. Because you didn't read it. I'm just running it for the people.
See? That's how we're always is, man.
It's amazing. Amazing. Beautiful service.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you guys coming out.
Great intervention, brother. Great intervention.